Welcome back to First Listen, everybody. My name is Tenthile, and hope you're doing well today. This time on First Listen, we checked out Underoath and their latest release, their first album since they broke up, and also in like 8 years, which is a long time, Erase Me. This album, I need to put this cautionary thing out there, is very down, there's some darkness there. And I think that kind of darkness has always been there with this band. So let's get into how I kind of found them. So back in like 2003 to 2006, I kind of was in that emo mode. So I kind of fell into some metalcore and got into it, like getting into bands like Alex is on Fire, Silverstein, Funeral for a Friend, Emery, you name it. We got into a lot of stuff that kind of guided us into this playlist. And then, again, strangely enough, in 2010, as the band was kind of in a weird state, I started listening to this same type of music again. So I'm not super familiar with their catalog. I have checked out some of their stuff, quite a bit of the earlier stuff, and I do like it. But let's go ahead and get into this first listen. The album opens slow and then quick with It Has to Start Somewhere. A track that, man, it really showcases their versatility. Being able to kind of just change everything up and then pull it back, and then change it up and then pull it back. It's really smart and really interesting to see, because some bands really can't do that. But for me, right off the bat, I kind of got this huge, it's called Erase Me. This track, this opening, has so much emotion that it really set the pace, the table, if you will, for this album. It's only gonna get darker and more emotive from here. It's just gonna be crazy. So let's continue on. That beat, it just caught me. It just pulled me in on Rapture. Whether it's the drums, the vibe in the background, all of the stuff going on, I feel like this track just really works across the board. I don't know exactly how I feel about some of the subject matter, but I really liked the whole aesthetic. It just flowed really well. And if you go way back to when we first started these reviews, I'm huge on flow, and that's what this whole album does. But let's keep going into some of these tracks. Drums. Oh, the drums on my teeth. This track, the drums are so inviting. They really do pull you in on this track. It's just a thing. Like, the drums are so good, but I don't know what else to say about them. I'll have to think. The vocals, like the shrill screaming, just adds to the beautiful chaos. And then, the drums, I said I would talk about them. They really do bring this track home. They really pull it all together, keep it very well glued, and literally there's just beautiful chaos. It really is. And it's awesome. Dude, that ominous opening on Wake Me, that tone never really leaves. That vibe stays in that ominous gear. It never gets out of it. It just really kind of pleads. The whole track kind of just pleads, and is, to me, it feels like it's asking for help. Man, this album is dark, but I feel like it's a beautiful darkness, something that needs to get out. We'll talk about this more probably in some other tracks, but I can feel the pain throughout this whole album. You just listen to some of these tracks and you're just taken in, and you can't help but feel all of it. It doesn't even matter if it's you know, the half screams or the spoken vocals or all of it, you just feel it, man. You really just feel it. And then talk about changing expectations. Bloodlust, where it changes the pace and then pulls it back, and then just, man, this track is really down. Really, really down. Here's a lyric that needs to be heard again. I wrote a letter that you'll never read. I shed a tear that you'll never see. Simple lyrics, but when you take all of this together, it just is so deep and so down that, man, it took me to a place where I don't normally like to be, but I feel like it kind of was comforting in this dark place. It's rare for music to do that, to kind of hit you in that mode, and this one really did it. Holy shit, talk about sadness and darkness. Sync with me. Dude, I didn't think it could get any more dark. Like, I have no words for how dark and affected I feel by this album. I mean, more specifically, this track here that we're talking about, but man, I mean, the delivery of that line, "You can't make it okay," and the different variations on it is just chilling. And then the subtle way that the guitar kind of just hangs in the background just feels like the perfect accent. I mean, man, what a downer, a downer of a track. But I like it. So there's that. And the downer note continues with "I Hate It." This track feels very personal. And, oh my gosh, just the mixing of the vocal styles is really well done. I'm trying not to pull myself into this darkness here as I talk about this song and this album, but man, it really did pull me down. I'm gonna have to listen to some more upbeat stuff to get us out, but I appreciate the darkness, the vulnerability, the honesty on all of these tracks. But this one really, man, it really wrecked me in such a way that I just felt it from the time the vocals start the whole way through to the end. You just can't help but connect with the track like this. Then, to change it up, in with some quickness, we have "Hold My Breath," the track that really, I felt like it tried to throw us a curveball there, kind of change some stuff up, and then, I don't know, a little bit of misdirection. But I see this track for what it is. It's just fully acknowledging all of this stuff. You can't hide from me. You can't hide from me, track. I know exactly what you're doing. And some of that I'm going to keep for myself. But let's just say this track does a really nice job of getting its message out there. It does it really well. Then we have a track like "Has No Frame." This one really, man, from its effects to just the way it's doing all of it. I mean, the lyrics are very simple. I did double check. It's so simple. I didn't even think they were as simple as they ended up being, but in that simplicity, this track actually shines really well. To talk about time and kind of like trying to break out of all of that stuff and maybe even being lost in yourself a little bit. I kind of welcome tracks like this that really push it. They push that boundary and make you feel it. I don't know. A lot of music just doesn't do that. So when it does, I feel like it needs to be pointed out and praised. And really, this track like never lets off the pedal. it feels like it just builds up to this point, and then once it is done building, it just lets it all go at about 3 minutes, and I'm glad it was able to let it all out, because I just didn't know where it was going until it did. So the 1 weak spot on this album, In Motion, a track that is good, but I feel like this is a common thing that I say, so take it however you will. It does get a little bit lost. Stuff kind of feels like it tries to do too much, maybe a couple risks here and there with the stretching of some of those vocals. Everything is okay on the song. It's a good track, but this is that 1 weak spot that most albums have. Some have multiples. This one just, for me, has this one. And finally, the album finishes with I Gave Up, a track again with very simple lyrics, and for me, a very simple feeling. You know, talking about the struggle and trying to reflect on it. I mean, it opens with this morose piano that immediately pulled me in, and knowing it was the last track helped, because it kind of guided us on our way as the album closed out. You know, when the guitar comes in and that kind of just continues that vibe, it felt just right. It felt like a good track to end on. Didn't feel like the album went on too long. I mean, it's only a 40-minute album, which I really appreciate, because some albums feel like they stay too long, and this one felt just right. Felt just right. So, as you can tell, even through all its darkness, through all of the downer notes and, man, just some somber feelings, I actually really like this album. I was not sure what to expect going in, but I really like it. I'm not going to give it a rating, because I feel like this is a tough one to do that for. But I recommend that you check it out. If you haven't checked out any Underoath in a while, you know, I know they released a lot of compilations and stuff. This is a good entry back into the band. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in another first listen. Hit up those comments, and we'll see you again soon.